Alright guys, welcome back to episode 3 of our Hard Mode Plus playthrough. Last time we left off after some significant shenanigans, and here we are with the GMC fuel truck in town. We are going to have to go back and get that trailer, which is mildly annoying. It wasn't accepting the trailer, so I reset the task. And it should be... Don't know where it went now. I imagine that trailer is back over here where it belongs. Right. Oh, yep, there it is. So we are going to grab the Fleet Star, and I guess we're going to drag it back into town again. We'll start with that, but I have another project in mind for today. We are going to go after the CK-1500 Scout in Smithville. At least once we make enough money to put the autonomous winch on the Jeep. I'm not going next door without some self-recovery ability. But essentially, what we're going to do, I've kind of changed my mindset. I'm okay exploring other maps and recovering vehicles. We are just going to 100% a region, essentially. And here's where our rather unfortunate mess happened. Right there, that little dip in the side is what caused it. Might as well drag that trailer out with us, at least part of the way here. No sense leaving it down here to have to come back and get it yet again later. Now, why didn't it give me a winch point on the pitch bar there? That's unusual. I don't want you to tip. No need for all that. There we go. We'll just drag that on up and hook it up. I think that trailer was a little bit stuck in there. There we go. We'll drag it at least back over this way. Actually, we can could probably just get a little road drain going here and winch the fuel trailer behind us. Save us a little bit of a trip. I try not to do that. I don't care to really drag trailers that way. It does save time. It's certainly a gameplay tactic people use. Unless I'm like moving regions and I just need to haul a ton of stuff, I try not to do that. I do like to kind of play within the bounds of the game. There's certainly ways around it. There's you can do overloading and stuff where you know, a normal flatbed will carry 1 steel beams, but if you load it just right and have the crane on board, you can in fact fit 5 on there, as provided you can keep them all on there. There is a difference in cargo weight when it's packed onto a truck versus when it isn't. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to lift many of them with a crane. But we'll get everything where we're going here. There's our fuel trailer. I am curious, did it did refill? No way. Oh, you could cheese this game so hard with that. I never realized that. I'm not gonna do it. We've already pulled fuel from it. We've got plenty of fuel on the map. But there's one for you. If you're playing hard mode and you're stuck on fuel, don't complete Steel River supplies. Move that trailer, empty it, reset it, and it will be full of fuel again. Apparently, that is wild tales from the crypt right there. We are not nearly that hard up. We've already got lots of fuel on this map and lots of fuel on other maps. Michigan is not particularly light on free fuel. So no need to cheese it that hard, but good to know that that option's there, I guess. It's kind of surprising, actually. I would have expected it to respawn with the minimum needed to complete the mission. That would have made a little more sense to me, but full is cool too. A little Australian road train going. And this is one of the few instances where I don't mind pulling a trailer like that, because we're not doing work right now. I mean, we're pulling that trailer, which we could just as easily put in front and pull legitimately. But really, it's being towed by a winch because we're bringing this extra trailer back somewhere closer to where we'll actually use it. So I don't terribly mind kind of doing it that way. Be careful coming over that bridge. That log sticking up right there will stop you dead in your tracks. I was coming across that bridge with a quickness one time not too long ago and slammed right into that log and just absolutely destroyed my truck. It pretty well wrecked the engine and the suspension and the tire, and also managed to flip me off into the river. And I floated down to a little past where that RV is sitting. It was quite a show, to be certain. I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm not going to steal all that fuel, but I am going to top my tanker back up again. No reason not to. I'm still not sure why it wouldn't accept it earlier, but it should accept it just fine now. And then we'll take the sideboard here and the bed of the truck itself, and we'll go get the consumables and planks. So my loose kind of goal here is to get enough together to outfit the Jeep to go out on its own. We're going to try and knock out the other watchtowers on this map also today, so less hauling, more exploring. Which is fine, you know, it's got to be done at some point. But we are going to try and recover the Chevy CK1500, and if possible, I would like to get down to Island Lakes and grab the twin steer. Because if I go down that way, I can come back up the other side through Drummond. It'll all make sense when we get there. I'll show you what I mean. It's not the way I usually, like, not the route I usually take, but it'll work. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to leave that trailer right there, because we're going to reload it down here probably with, oh no we're not, we'll pick it up empty here. That's going to end up with the consumables in it, because I'm going to put the first load on the truck. And we'll just drag the fuel can up this way. I am using an awful lot of all-wheel drive here, just to help me get around a little bit. It is going to burn more fuel, though. I could probably get away without it on this particular hill. Yeah, so you get it in low gear with the rear end locked up, and your fuel burn drops a pretty good bit. Sometimes that's worth it. When you're just like kind of later game running around, not so much, because usually you're well enough established that you're not hurting for fuel and things like that. But I find, especially when I'm scouting, I do try to keep my fuel burn to a minimum. Some vehicles are way better about it than others. The Hummer, for example, burns very little fuel, and having the all-wheel drive on it has almost no effect on your fuel burn. So I usually just leave it on and go, go, go. But like the Jeep and the Chevy pickup truck, they both burn noticeably more fuel with all-wheel drive on, or with the differential locked. So it is worth playing around. I've showed it before, but you can just sit at a stop with the parking brake on and toggle that on and off. And if it's a major difference. You'll be able to see it, even just idling. Your fuel burn will go up. Which is kind of funny. I mean, if you're not moving, there's no reason having all-wheel drive engaged should actually take effect unless you're, you know, applying force to your drive system and trying to move the vehicle. But, yeah, games are going to do what games are going to do. To a degree. I'm sure it was simpler just to code it that way. And I don't begrudge them that. Okay, so we are going to take this fuel carrier trailer, and we're going to fill the Fleet Star, and we're going to fill the GMC, and we're going to top off the fuel tank on the GMC. There is plenty of fuel left in that tank right there, so this mission should complete with absolutely no complaint. And I don't mind turning it in this early. Usually I save this till last so I can use most of the fuel out of here, but I'm trying to do things a little differently this time. Okay, it says delivered. Do I get to keep the trailer? Apparently. I don't know what's going on here. I don't recall that being the way that works. But what do I know? I guess I'll leave that trailer sitting there. Alright, so now we're off to collect our wooden planks and our sideboard trailer. And we'll take that down to the farm, collect our consumables. Actually, I'm trying to think. You know what? We'll burn less fuel if we run down to the farm first. So let's do that. We'll run empty over to the farm. That should burn less fuel. We'll pick up the consumables, come back without a trailer, which will burn a little less fuel, and then we'll load the trailer up here at the sawmill and take everything up for the rest of that mission. And hopefully that will leave us in good enough financial shape to make sure we've at least got an autonomous winch on the Jeep. I would prefer the winch and a fuel rack of some kind. I can't recall exactly where to find a scout fuel trailer. I'm certain there's one on Smithville, but I don't recall exactly where. And I don't know that the Jeep can tow it anyway. I don't think they can tow. They certainly don't appear to have any kind of hitch attachment on the bumper. But we're going down to find the Chevy. The Chevy for sure can tow. So it may be a case of we switch over to the CK-1500. Which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It's a very capable scout. I've used it pretty significantly in at least one playthrough. It doesn't, admittedly, it does not tow trailers very well. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't seem to want to tow a trailer. But I suppose I could always winch one along, too. Yeah, we'll see what kind of mischief we get into. I would very much like to find the other trucks on the map. We know there's a Chevy Kodiak C70 on this map. It's buried up to its neck in the mud. There's no way we're getting it out without retrieving the Pacific P16. So the eventual goal is to work our way around there. We're going to try and do that in the next episode or two. And get down there, retrieve that thing. With some luck, we'll get the twin steer also. And the white, if possible. It's not going to be possible to get all of those trucks out of the region they're in and into this one without at least doing a road closure mission or two. Which isn't the end of the world, but I was hoping to mostly stick to one map. But that's really going to add a lot of inconvenience, unnecessary inconvenience that is, so I think it's better just to say let's 100% a region before officially moving on. And I think that's okay. As long as we get everything knocked out. And there are, in some of the later maps, as I understand it, there is at least one map that I will have to have somebody come in and co-op with me, because you can't technically you can't 100% it because there's a co-op mission or something. I don't know. That's a ways down the future. $10 gallons just to get over here. That's pretty bad. And we'll do the loading platform. I'll take 2 of these, please. Please, sir. I want some more. Luckily, these are light. They're fairly easy to crane around without too much issue. I'm not super great loading with the crane. Admittedly, I could definitely do a better job than that if I tried a little bit, though. It's pretty blatantly just laziness, if I'm being honest. But we should be able to run now most of the way back without the all-wheel drive on, which will save us some fuel, too. Once we get up to speed and in top gear there. Obviously, we don't have high range available yet, which is a little bit sad, but we'll get there. It's all part of discovering the upgrades on this map. Pretty sure the better gearbox is available on this map. It's definitely in the region. I just can't remember if it's on Black River or somewhere else. But we'll bump into it sooner or later. And we're doing fairly well without it. I mean, in 5th gear with a load on relatively good terrain, gallon, 0.1 a minute, that's not terrible. I'm even going kind of uphill, still under 2 gallons. Yeah, it kind of falls apart once we get into the mud there, but that's okay. That's expected. Still not running all-wheel drive, which, for the pace we're moving through here, that's worth noting. Still doing pretty good. This old truck honestly does a real good job. I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's a great starting truck. Really gives you plenty of options and plenty of capability to get through Michigan. Which, if you look at the wider community, this may be the first map, but it is definitely not ranked as like the easiest map. Most people put it somewhere in the middle. And it does have some challenging terrain between, whoops, we don't want to go that way. Between all the mud and the logging contracts and stuff, it does have a pretty good volume of deliveries you have to make. It's also got, you know, more than a few hills, and some of the mud pits are really something else. And that slog up the hill to get to the warehouse, we haven't been there yet, but if you're familiar with the game, you'll know this hill right here. This is bad. It smooths out a little bit up through here, and then once you get up around this corner here, you almost have to winch yourself through right up until about this intersection. So this whole back loop here is pretty awful, as is this whole hill here. This back here is all, you know, door handle deep mud. Let's see, what else is real bad? There's a tiny bit up here. This through here is pretty rough. Water over the road. This, I don't even try in anything but the P16. At least, the twin steer would probably get across there if it had all-wheel drive and good tires. I think it's tall enough to manage, but Scouts you're going to lose in there. The Fleet Star you'll bury and get stuck in there. It's a pretty good bit of mud right in here that you have to work around. That's really the worst of the mud on this map. It's not terrible. This whole swamp down here is pretty rough. I forgot about that. But it does provide a good variety, but it's by no means like the easiest map. And this truck makes it feel very beginner friendly, I think. And I don't super love the Fleet Star, don't get me wrong. And I think part of that's just because I've spent a lot of time in it. I'm kind of over the truck as a whole. But it does do the job, and it does it pretty well. And that much I can't argue with. So let's get on down to the lumber mill, pick up our timber. And then that should be Steel River Supplies done. And then we'll head on over next door to the other map. I think. Really what I should do is stop on the way through and at least unlock the scout so that we have a second scout vehicle available. I think that's probably not unreasonable planning. Rinse off the mud a little bit there. I do appreciate that the tires hold on to a texture like that for a moment. Like if you go through real deep mud, it's especially noticeable, I think, on the flatbed. You'll see it splatter up all over the flatbed. You'll see your tires throwing rooster tails, and if you go through the water, you see the same thing, and that material's texture will cling to the whole drivetrain for a little bit there, and you'll be spinning mud and water off, just like you would in actuality. See the water sticking on the tandems there, and then it goes, and now we're into the mud, and that's done really well. I also just realized we don't have to load anything here because there's a second sideboard trailer preloaded with timber, and that is exactly what we need. So we're just gonna back on up in there and grab it. This can be a little muddy if you get back in here and get stuck. Mostly a problem with the GMC. The Fleet Star doesn't have too much trouble contending with it. And then I just take kind of a wide turn. It's set up as a trap because you're supposed to back in there and then want to go that way to avoid the mud over here. Because the middle of the loading area there can get pretty rough. But the reality is if you just skirt kind of here on the side, it's not all that bad at all. It's a big reversal moving from Michigan to Alaska. Because in Michigan, all of the roads are the muddy mess, and generally your better terrain is off the road to one side or the other. And when you get into Alaska, it's the opposite, because the game treats mud and snow the same. Effectively, your snow rating is also your mud rating is also your snow rating. But the roads are all icy, and you think, oh, I'll get off of it and get into the snow, because you're so used to just, kind of getting one wheel off the road up here in Michigan. But the trap is reversed in Alaska. You're actually better off on the roads. Kind of, first few times I realized that, it kind of gave me a chuckle. Alright, if we can get back in automatic here, maybe. Let's try it. Even with the better engine, this truck's still kind of lacking in power. That's my one complaint. It'll generally get where it's going, but it's not super fast. Which, it's not the end of the world. This game isn't a racing game. It's not meant to be played fast. To a degree, it feels pretty good, kind of needing to take it slow. And that's part of the reason I enjoy the highway gearboxes. Because they'll let you move a little faster on the highway, but they do force you down into low gear if you've got, any significant load on at all. If you're climbing up hills and stuff. But I did finally find the limit on the Royal in my other save game. I had the stepped flatbed deck on there. I had a Scout fuel trailer clamped down on the step over the fifth wheel, so I had some auxiliary fuel. And I had 5 cargo on board, and it was just really struggling to pull uphill with that combo. And I think I've got the top end engine in it. Alright, we should be able to make some money here. Not nearly as much as I would have liked. 7,000 is still not enough to buy the autonomous winch. It's a bit of a problem. Of course, we haven't rolled the Jeep yet. Keyword there really being yet. We did unlock a few new contracts, though. That one's going to require us to go next door, so that one. And that one. So we don't want to do those. Steel River should be mostly here. That'll only pay 1,300. That still won't get us what we need. Now that pays really well, but that is an awful lot of log hauling. What we got in the tasks department? Anything we can actually manage? Okay, that is the stuck trailer. No, it's not. Is it? Where's the other trailer I'm thinking of? I thought that was the one that went with this stuck trailer here. That is the one that goes with that stuck trailer. Okay, so there is another trailer up there. How much is that worth? 2,400. That might push us over the edge. Let's see if we can go find that. We'll leave the old curtain side here, and we'll run on. Let's top up on the fuel first. I'm going to go ahead and use this other fuel trailer first. Oh, it disappeared. How you like them apples? That's what I was fairly certain was supposed to happen to begin with. I don't know why it didn't disappear right away. The question is, did it take any of its fuel with it? No, that all seems to still be full up. Alright, well, we're like 400 gallons lighter on fuel than we were 10 minutes ago, but that's no great loss. We've got plenty to spare. Not too awful worried about it. I always have these grand plans, and I really don't think, depending on how hard it is to locate this trailer, I'm not sure we'll actually make it to the point I wanted to get to. Because I do want to hit these last couple watchtowers here on Black River, at least one of them. So I want to see if I can find some of the other upgrades that are available on the map, get those knocked out so we can get them installed on our trucks. The more capable our trucks are, the better off we are. And right now, this is really the only one that's capable of anything. I mean, we can do some basic delivery with the GMC, but as we saw last episode, it's not going to do much for us if we get into any kind of trouble anywhere else. We're just kind of boned in that case, so we need to try and get it a little more capable, which in that case is going to be finding the differential lock. That hurt. Holy crap, that was a lot of damage for that little tiny hit. So apparently there is a curtain side trailer hanging out up here somewhere. We are tracking the mission, and it says to go look over here. Which I don't love, because this terrain is not great. That trailer down there is the one I was afraid it was thinking of, and that is not the one we need. So we opened this up. How do I get back there? I don't remember. Looks like either way will work, so we're going to go straight and take the first left, I guess. Probably don't need the all-wheel drive just this minute. Yeah, that curtain side down there in the water is 100% a job for the P16 or some other similar heavy-duty truck. something big enough that the mud just doesn't matter. That is something the Fleet Star does not super excel at. This is kind of mucky. Let's give this a test here. It's not terrible. It's not great. Yeah, we're gonna probably need the all-wheel drive here, at least down in the low spots. I guess that's not terrible. There is our curtain-side trailer. How about them apples? I should have threw a load of lumber or something on here just for the weight. I didn't think about that. On the bright side, hopefully by the end of today we'll know if there is a trailer store in Smithville. We are starting to pile up some trailers that we can sell off. We won't earn a ton of cash, but what it will do is clean up our map menu a little bit. I don't know if this bothers anybody else as much as it bothers me, but the more items you have over here, incomplete, the longer it takes for the Xbox controller to get down to garage. If you're mouse and keyboard, it's no big deal to mouse scroll your way down there. But if you're trying to keep your hands on the keyboard or on the controller, it's kind of annoying to have all those things there. So I try to get rid of everything I'm not using. You know, I try to keep, for the most part, my truck stored up and that kind of thing, just to keep that side menu cleaner. But it doesn't always work that way. Right now we're rather shy on places to sell trailers, so they're just kind of piling up on that menu every time we find one. That's not a great angle to put myself on. I probably should have thought about that. Luckily it didn't cost us that time, but doesn't mean it never will in the future. Same thing here. This is always your risk. You can go through the mud and slog it out, and if you generally are trying to skirt it, it's going to come at a cost of an angle. You know, if I continue here, see it start leaning the truck in towards the middle. So if I had high cargo on and not just an empty bed with a trailer behind me, you know, that's that much closer to tipping and rolling, which is, I'm sure, 100% the intent there. I mean, half of this game is making good decisions about your driving to get where you're going and not get hung up or stuck or flipped over on your side, you know. It's part of the puzzle. But quite often I will try to skirt around mud, and that, I think, is one of the things that gets me in more trouble than anything else. Because then I find myself, you know, kind of driving along on an odd angle, and next thing you know, Bob's your uncle, I'm on the ground. Probably shouldn't hit the guardrail. It's not great for your tires or your suspension. Or the front end of your truck, for that matter. Oh. Ooh, about to kiss the K-rail. Let's try not to do that either. Getting the tasks out of the way will also clean up that menu. So this is a good one to be doing. I didn't do the math, but I suspect this will get us up in the right range to buy the autonomous winch for one of our scout vehicles. When we get next door, we'll have access to another garage at least. And pretty early on we'll find, well, not early on, but I know exactly where to go, so it won't take long. We'll find the Chevy 1500 scout vehicle. So honestly, I think we're going to roll without finding the Scout 800. It's up on the hill over there. It's not terribly difficult to find, just kind of a time-consuming thing to go get. Eventually we'll have to. It's part of the 100% challenge now. And this thing just spins without a load on it. Yeah, I guess that would have been the way to go there. The most fuel-efficient way. I've been driving around that Royal, which doesn't have an engageable diff lock. Doesn't have a diff lock at all until you install it. It's a free differential. But in it, I'm used to defaulting to all-wheel drive, and on the Fleet Star here, a lot of times just kicking it over into low and locking up the differential will get you the traction you need and be a significantly lower fuel burn than trying to do it with all-wheel drive. So I need to get back in the habit of that. The same thing kind of applies to the White Western Star, which is also next door on Smithville. I hope to recover that on my way back through. And that's the pickup point. I don't know why there still needs to be a task marker. I've already taken the task. Like, I've already accepted the mission. Oops. Hopefully he's got good insurance. I'm quite certain my provider dropped me several rolls ago. 97.75, and if I remember correctly, the autonomous winch is 9,700 on the nose. So we should be in good shape. Let's see, where's the Jeep here? Not in a great position is the answer. It's going to take a little bit of driving, so we may as well hit the garage on the way back through. So we will go up here, we'll grab fuel. That was not what I meant to do. We'll grab fuel, we'll take the shortcut down to the garage, and then we are on our way to lands unknown. Find us some more vehicles, get a look at a new map, and all said and done, hopefully we'll be in good shape. I will say the twin steer is just not terribly useful on this map, but the P16 is for all the vehicle recovery missions. And I do want to have them all recovered and in the garage at least. You never know when it's going to be useful. I might find a mission. It's mostly road. It's going to be a kind of a case of realizing that there's going to be a lot of highway travel with something like this where there's nice sweeping long curves, because it's kind of a pain to drive. It's a long son of a gun. It's basically a tractor trailer with a flatbed trailer, only it's all welded solid. So you got two steering axles up front, hence the name twin steer, and two drive axles in the very back, and just cargo in between. But it turns like a city block. So it's not very well suited to tighter quarters for certain. Honestly, if we've unlocked the roof rack, I might be tempted to take that before the autonomous winch. I know that sounds kind of silly, but actually no, this thing does really well on fuel. As nice as it is to have extra fuel on board so you can just keep going and not have to worry about it so much, I would rather have the peace of mind of the winch. Because then there's not a situation for most part that I can get this Jeep stuck in that I won't be able to get it out of without paying $5,000. How am I repairing? Oh, I have a spare tire on board. That's right. It's right there on the back. Ain't I just a silly goose? Cut through the shortcut here. the trick to this shortcut is to actually stay off the side. It's not cambered too much one way or the other, so you can usually get away with it. If you go through the middle there, you're right up to the axles, though, in pretty much every vehicle. And then as you progress up this hill, you end up with a lot of boulder obstacle. It's kind of the middle here. And this is where everyone kind of wishes Roadcraft applied to Snowrunner, because I would love to come up here with a bulldozer and just push all these things off the side. I mean, they're loose rocks. You hit them and they move. I don't want them in the road. Same thing down here. This right here. It's not too bad if you're just in a truck with a flatbed, but if you're also dragging one of those articulated trailers, you really have to kind of S-curve snake your way around all these boulders. Because if you cut it too close, you're just trying to drag the trailer through them and they get stuck on them and it turns into a mess. There's also not a ton of things up there to winch on. More for the Scout, because you can get away with these little dinky trees trying to pull a Scout out, but if you're pulling anything bigger, like a medium truck or a heavy truck or anything with a load on it, you're kind of SOL. We got this Jeep good and dirty. This thing's growing on me. I wasn't a huge fan when we started, but I love the brakes. But it is growing on me a little bit. So let's see. 94, I was off. We'll take that, sell that. Puts us right back in the poorhouse. We still haven't unlocked our trunk supplies. We don't have enough for a snorkel, so I do need to keep that in mind. Where I plan to go, there are some water crossings. Yeah, I think these are the best tires I can put on this, shy of mud tires, which will be marginally better in mud, but these are excellent and good. Those are excellent on the opposite end of poor. Honestly, if I had the cash laying around, I'd consider swapping those out. I just want to check, can I switch out the rear bumper to something that tows? There's tow loops. That does have a hitch receiver on it. That does too. The stock doesn't. Ooh. Let's find a way to get just a couple $100 here. That'll do. I don't need it permanently. Let's put the double pipe on. We'll sell the stock. I should, yep, I have enough to put the roof light back on. Hopefully that will let us tow a trailer. I'm not super convinced, but there is a hitch receiver there. Tiny though it may be. What in the hell is going on down there? I can't tell if that's mud or broken. That looks like the pumpkin back there is all jacked up. And I see caution tape down there. Do I even want to know? Oh no, that's the... Okay, I see now. From this angle with them, I think it's just mud on it, but it almost looks like it's barbershop pole. Oh well. Let's put a sticker on here, why not? Do the eagle. Since they're free, why not? Alright, that'll get us going on the scouting front. Looks like we're about halfway through our time here. I do want to get up to the other map. But I also want to get some of these knocked out. We'll do that later. Let's go see a new map. I've spent so much time in Black River. It is my least favorite part of Michigan to be in, just because I've been here so much. So let's go have a gander at something different. See, I was talking during the live stream that I don't think this thing wants to flip, and it really, if you did any of this with the Scout 800, especially that right there, I'd be on my side. This thing just stays glued down. I don't know what they did when they balanced out the model and set the physics up on it, but it certainly feels like it's very bottom heavy. Not that I'm complaining at all, that it's working out great in my favor. It just doesn't seem quite right. But I guess if you look at it, all the weight is kind of on the bottom. I mean, that, even the doors, like the door frame itself stops midway. I mean, it's a Jeep. So in theory, everything above that's roll cage or plastic, so there really isn't much weight. It visually seems to be a lot, you know, taller in weight terms than it actually is. So, who knows? It'd be kind of neat if you could take that hardshell top off. I know, like with the Hummer too, you can buy the little triangle canopy piece to go on the back. It'd be neat if you could remove it on the Jeep. And I am pretty much going to refuel every opportunity on the way over here. I want to get into Smithville with as much fuel as I can manage to have on board, since we don't have a roof rack. And honestly, with this small of a gas tank, I can afford to buy fuel if I absolutely have to, but I would prefer not to spend any money on fuel when I've got so much of it laying around. We need to start saving some more money. I know I've kind of been pretty spendy with it so far, but it would be very helpful to start bulking up the bank. So eventually we're going to have, you know, some more trucks to take care of. Just putting things on the White Western Star and the Twin Steer, I mean, it's 30 grand in tires and suspension and whatnot. Minimum. And we're getting ready to find another Scout. Scout 800 still on this map. I think the secret's going to be not to upgrade everything. I probably won't put much in the Twin Steer, to be honest. It's just not going to be super useful to me on this map or in the immediate future. It's probably best to just stuff it in the garage and say we found it, call it for the 100% done. And if at a later time we find a good use for it, hopefully we'll be in a position to outfit it better. The P16, there's just not a lot of outfitting that you need to do. I mean, I think really effectively the only thing you can do is change out the winch and some cosmetic stuff. The only options it has for the back are the long log front carrier piece and the high saddle, because that's what it's designed to do. And since we do have an embarrassment of fuel, we probably will use it to haul logs with. You know what, let's chance it. I need to know where the limit is. I don't think this is too deep to take this Jeep through. Yeah, that's not bad. More of a scare than a problem. Still need to at some point get the snorkel on this thing. If we're gonna stay in it, which I haven't decided yet. I might just keep this as my well-equipped Scout. There's no major reason to switch unless it can't tow trailers. And even if it can, or can't, you know, we'll still have access to things that will. And there's not a ton of call for towing a Scout trailer anyways. Most often it's towing a Scout fuel trailer that I find useful. At least for the first good long while. I'm sure further down the road there may be uses for like the exploration trailer or whatever it is. I've never used it, but I'm sure it's in the game for a reason. I think we will duck down and hit this watchtower over here, just because we're in the neighborhood. We've only driven past it 957 times. Might as well get it knocked out. It's not super out of the way. Going to get the scout kind of would be, though. If I remember right, this is more solid than the middle. It appears I remembered right. Probably ought to eventually put a decent bumper on this thing. I do have a tendency to plow trees with it. There we go, quick and easy. So we did a little bit of both. That gives us another task here. That upgrade we kind of already knew is there, but now we can see it clear. And there is the Scout 800, but we're going to let it sit there for a minute. We're going to head over to Smithville and see what trouble we can find. That just leaves these 3 watchtowers on the bottom. Oh no, we did this one. Just 2. That one's kind of a pain. That one's not terrible. Might get that one. Might actually save this one until we're coming down in the P16 to get the drowned highway truck right here. Because there's literally no other reason to go back there. There's no missions or anything down here except that truck. So it's kind of a worthless watchtower. It's a trap, is what it is. You go down there in a scout trying to unlock it. You wind up stuck down there for no gain whatsoever. So I think we'll just skip out on the trap this time. I've certainly fallen into it once or twice, and I'm kind of at the point now where I realize it's one of those things that just isn't worth doing with any expeditiousness whatsoever. Looks like we'll be exploring most of Smithville in the dark. It's nearly evening. At least the part of Smithville we're going to go check out. Not really a terrible drive up here to the gateway. I do have a loose plan in mind here, though. Come on, baby, get it together. There you go. We'll just tuck right in there. The way these work are you pull up, hit the button there to travel, and away you go. That screenshot is a bit of foreshadowing. There's the white western star we can pick up on this map. It's nice and low, nice and wide. Takes all the same upgrades for the most part as the Fleet Star. And I would say is as capable or more. I would tend to lean more myself because it's lower and I tip it a lot less than I do the Fleet Star. So for myself, it's far more useful. But not everybody finds that to be the case. I guess you got to drive what you enjoy. I mean, that's a significant part of the game. And there's our little cutscene. I think we will start by opening up the garage. As is pretty straightforward. As soon as we come in the map here, we're going to turn up this paved road and run it to the top. It should gain us some experience points too. Nice easy win. This map isn't really hard to open up. There's a bridge that needs built and at least a rock slide that needs taken out of the way. What this map is terrible about is the amount of drive time you have to put in on it, because if you're going from Smithville directly to Drummond Island via the highway route, it is quite a slog. You go up and over the mountain over there in the corner. Not very visible from up here, shockingly. But it's a lot of driving. Definitely something you want high-range gearbox for, or it's just going to eat fuel. There's our garage discovered. I don't think there's anything of note up here. There's a chance that there's a trailer store here. Oh, it's better than a chance. Look at that. We have a trailer store, which hopefully stays persistent to this very spot. This will also answer the burning question in my mind of whether you can tow with the Jeep. No trailers available for this truck. Answers that question. Let's see here. There's no real need to go over there right now. We could go down the main road here and check out all that, but all we're going to encounter is the bridge out, and somewhere down here on the mountain there's a blockage. What I want to do is come back over towards the gateway and take this strip down the side here. It's definitely off-road. Somewhere in here is a Chevy 1500 we can just have. The White Western is roundabouts here. There's a Fleet Star roundabout there. They're both going to be fairly difficult. It's easy enough to get to the White Western Star, but getting it out of there is a whole nother kettle of fish. It's kind of why I want the P16 before we attempt that. But if we come down this way, we can take the gateway on over to Island Lake. Oh, and the gateway to Drummond Island is in the other corner here. Down around here. So it's a really long path up and down the mountain to go from up in the corner of Black River all the way down to Drummond. It's actually, in this case, going to be much faster to cut down this side, go into Island Lake, and then across Island Lake. I don't remember where all the roads are, but as long as we head in the same general direction, it shouldn't be too bad. So we're going to head that way. We may pay for gas over here at the gas station. We're only 3 gallons shy, so... Oh, missed a turn. I always forget, because there's a dirt road over there that you don't want to take. And I always feel like I have to go around the corner to get back down to the main highway there, but it's actually this one. This is the highway. And if we come back over this way, it would behoove us to bring some spare service parts, because at the end of the road up there in front of the garage, going that way, there's a rock slide that we need to clear in order to get on down. Otherwise we have to go through an awful lot of crap to get where we're going, and it's really kind of a pain. I'm not overly interested in that. I've taken that middle route several times, and now that I know better, I think I'll just bring the parts I need with me. So we're going to go this way, and we're going to hope for a good gas price. That the in-town station on Black River is like 16 bucks a gallon, which is the lowest I've ever seen it under the random price per station rule. And that does seem to be persistent, so at least that works correctly. Let's see what the damage is here. 16 a gallon. I'm not mad at that. 50 bucks to fill up. Let's do it. Might as well go into this with a full tank. Not going to be accepting these until we're over here. But I did want to make sure. I couldn't remember for sure if there's a mission associated with that scout truck or if I literally just have to drive up and steal it. So I thought it was worth checking that to make sure it wasn't a mission. This path is for braver souls. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going down this side of the map in something other than a scout. I've done it. It can be done. It's questionable if you should, but I have succeeded. This particular mud pit here is usually kind of a challenge, but if you crawl up over here, even in something like the Fleet Star, it's easy enough to squeak through here. There's not really a reason to, though. There's nothing you need. I mean, I've come over here with a rollback attachment to pick this truck up before, and that was a good use for it, but there's not a whole lot of reason to take a medium truck or a delivery truck of any kind down through here. If you're making a delivery down to Island Lake, you're better off having opened up the highway first. This is going to be a mess, so we're going to attach a safety winch to that tree right there, and what I'll do is I'll just keep tension on it, just like that, so we're through the major tip hazard, and we're on our way. Ah, here is the reason to take a delivery truck over here. Alright, there's got to be a way around that, right? We're going to try and make one off to the left here. Oh, wow. That's a hell of a mud hole right there. Honestly, a little surprised we crawled out of it that easily. Up on a tree there, I think. It's amazing that you can mow over some tiny trees, but sometimes you'll get caught in tree branches like that and they just stop you dead in your tracks. Oh, come on. Oh, we're not all-wheel drive. That probably help. I think we should be pretty well past the rock slide here. So let's use a marker. It's getting kind of hard, especially in the dark, to see. Wow, that was a comedy of misfortune. There we go. Yeah. So let's thread up over here, around this tree, over here, and we've got road. Outstanding. If this adventure in the Jeep works out the way I want it to, this is perfectly okay to be a one-way trip. Because if it all works out, we'll end up dragging it behind us with the Pacific P16. Headlights are good. It is dark. In Alaska, I actually find the parking lights, because the snow reflects the lights so much, it's almost easier to drive with just the parking lights on. When you turn the actual headlights on, it gets kind of glary. There's the other truck. It's a little beat up. It's got some mechanical issues, but we can in fact have it. I can swap into it now. It's got some damage on the gearbox, so it'll pop out of gear on you. But you can drive it right on up out of here. We're going to leave it sit there, because at the moment we don't really need it. I think it's got enough fuel to get itself out of here. But we'll probably come back at some point and pick that up with a rollback. We kind of have a scout vehicle. There's no sense putting a lot of time and effort into outfitting that one too, unless we run into a powerful need to tow a trailer, which, like I said, outside of fuel trailers, I can't really think of one. And honestly, any scout worth its salt has some kind of roof attachment usually that'll haul some amount of fuel. Oh. I should really just start checking to make sure I'm in all-wheel drive before I assume I'm stuck. That's why we put the autonomous winch on right there. We didn't quite tip over enough to kill it, but if we had, we'd at least been able to have recovered ourselves. And for anyone who's newer to the game, the autonomous winch will work whether the truck runs or not. That is the problem you run into with the big trucks. The minute you roll over and they're on their side, the engine stalls, and as long as you can't start the engine, you can't use the winch to turn yourself right side up again. But the Scouts have a special winch, the autonomous winch, that you can purchase that is battery operated. So essentially, it's a get out of jail free card. It's not as long or as strong as some of the other options. You can get the extended Scout winch, which is absurdly long. You can get the high power, heavy duty, whatever they call it, that has quite a bit more oomph behind the winch motor itself. But honestly, I never put anything but an autonomous winch on my Scouts, because I don't particularly enjoy taking bigger, heavier trucks out to fish Scouts out of situations I put them in. Now, the question is, because I forgot about this part, can we get where we're going? And the answer is, I am not sure. That looks like a tall order without a snorkel. I think the best bet would be to go for that island and then hop on over. I don't believe we can drive all the way around. Yeah, that doesn't look promising either. We need to get over there. So let's, I guess, try for the island here. I mean, there used to be a road here. It's at least, there is nothing to winch to if I get stuck in there. I guess I can winch to those trees in the river. We'll give it the old schoolboy try and see how foolish an idea it is. Apparently not that foolish. I'm genuinely surprised by that. Now watch, this will be deep enough to matter. Very nearly. Oh boy, that was cutting it pretty fine, but she crawled up out of there. If without the big tires and the race suspension, we would have never made that. There is a service trailer and a truck over here. The truck needs repaired, which we can do with the service trailer. There's the trailer. The truck is up the road here, one way or the other. I think we're wanting to go this way. So let's get up here and take a southerly turn, for lack of a better direction. I assume we're still on the road. Not really much of a road to speak of here. Really just an intersection of mud pits. And we're cruising right along here. Cooking with gas now. We will try to get the twin steer as far as we can. It is in good, it's got a full tank, it's got a trailer right next to it. So it's not in terrible shape. Like, it's just not well equipped to drive out of where it's at. But we'll try, we'll give it the old schoolboy try. If I can't drive it out of there and get it where I'm trying to get it, you know, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, it's not going to be super useful right now. Far more important to get the P16. So with the P16, we can drag the Jeep back behind us, at least as far as the White Western Star. We can drag the White Western Star out with it, and be on our merry way. Yeah, okay, so there's the truck that needs repaired. So we can pull that up here and repair it that way, and here is going to be the gateway on over to Island Lake, if I remember correctly. I don't go this way a lot. It's less than desirable for most reasons you're traversing this, unless it's faster to get to Island Lake this way. I mean, it is faster than going round and round and round the mountain, but getting a piece of equipment over this way that is useful for whatever you're trying to do is somewhat less common. This is not the way we wanted to go, I don't think. I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Yeah, I think the Island Lake thing is over here. Luckily, we're in a Scout. We're just going to turn up into the woods here and go for it. It certainly beats trying to drive through all that water, and this little birch grove here isn't terribly hard to traverse. In fact, there's almost a trail here that leads me to believe that was kind of the intention. Of course, that doesn't look like the entrance to Smithville either. Maybe it's more centered in the bottom than I thought. I guess we'll keep going and see. Haven't hit the edge of the map yet. Don't typically do a lot of actual off-road scouting in this game, so this is kind of new and fun. Let's not smack into the baby pine trees. It's not terribly healthy for your vehicle. Get up into this next clearing here and take a peep at the map. Ah, okay. Yep, this is where we needed to go. And if I remember right, the actual teleport thing isn't right up against that tunnel. It's kind of out from it a ways. Probably could have done most of that with the all-wheel drive off if I was actually thinking about it. Hey, there it is. Onward to Island Lake. I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't have a big old picture of the Western Star twin steer on here. I do kind of like the half-sunken drill platform, though. That's also a pretty cool choice. Now, the twin star, or twin steer, should be right there. So we're going to go try to grab that. And then probably come down this way and across this way. The portal to Drummond is over here somewhere. I'm not going to be super fussy about the watchtowers right now. This is kind of a vehicle unlock expedition. And it will be much easier to get where we're going in the Jeep than the twin star is going to have. Twin steer. Keep calling it twin star. There is a twin star. It's just not the twin steer. The two are different trucks. Oops. Honestly, with the map not necessarily opened... Oh, see, I've already goofed. It's already not the direction I meant to go. This way is the way I meant to go. Let's keep those markers where I can actually activate them, huh? There we go. if I remember right, there's even a fuel tanker over here that I can stock the Jeep back up on. And the twin steer, should have no problem towing this little tiny Jeep with the motor off. So we'll be able to save our fuel for when we actually need it. This whole map's kind of a mess. I try to spend as little time on this map as possible because it is something else to traverse. I have explored it fully once, at least. I believe I came down here and did that in the Scout 800. Which, honestly, it's not terrible for that. It's pretty flat. I mean, you've got some, some obvious hang-ups, like these little hills and dips and stuff that can absolutely roll the 800, no problem, if you're bopping along and not really paying attention. Which is unfortunately kind of how I'm driving right this minute. But the Jeep seems to be markedly more forgiving in that respect. Just kind of keeps on bouncing along, always seems to land on its feet, not unlike a cat. How about you winch to something useful? That'll work. See, the autonomous winch is a little shorter. It's doesn't have quite the reach, but it's vastly made up for by the fact that it runs on batteries. So we did open a watchtower. Oh wow, look at that. No country for old truck. Apparently that's a mission. So maybe we aren't going to get the twin steer. Good lord. Now that I've said that, it's going to be a problem. I've not had that problem so far, but now that it's in my brain, it's going to be a continuous problem. Hopefully for not more than this episode. Or get something like that stuck in your brain and it just, even though you know it's wrong, you can't seem to get it to go away. Do the same thing with the map. I want to keep calling it Smithville or Smithfield, and it's Smithville. Damn, been having that issue for a hot minute. So apparently, somebody's left a truck somewhere. Oh, it's just the Twin Star's beat up. I gotcha. Well, that's not ideal. Man, we are stuck in the mud here. Also not ideal. Let's try the old wiggle steering. Nope. Luckily, we have a big old heavy truck sitting there. Stuck in reverse here. There we go. Alright. I doubt, very seriously, this Jeep's going to pull this whatsoever. But we'll give it a try. If we can get it up out of that mud pit, that is half the battle. Yep, that's not going to happen. Will it start at all? It will start. Without a fuel. And there is not a fuel trailer sitting over here like I thought. Might need to do some reassessing. Let's turn that off and think it here a minute. We're at half tank on the Jeep. I could put fuel in the twin steer. There's a big fuel trailer. There's a bigger fuel trailer. A small fuel trailer. Trailers all over this map. Well, I guess inadvertently we may have to do some additional exploring here. I need to find a scout-sized trailer that I can drag with the Jeep's winch. And get over here. There's probably one in this direction before too far. Ah, right there it is. Boom. That's not a big ask. So we'll go do that. We'll top off the Jeep, and we'll bring it back here and fill up the twin steer. And hopefully it's at least in good enough shape to run and dig itself out of here. That would be ideal. I feel like it will require an awful lot of winching, because I've been getting stuck in the Jeep more than I care to. This is just a sloppy map. And there's not really any way to get around it, because pretty much off the road in either direction you've got swamp. Luckily there isn't much to do down here. There's a couple of, a couple of delivery missions to open things up, and there's some logging missions. Honestly, this would be a good candidate map to have the Pacific on. But we'll get there. It's next. And it is for sure in full working order with a full fuel tank. So it's not too terrible at all to get the P16 dug out and run around. So I guess worst case scenario, we can run it over here and pick this thing up. Drag it halfway back up Smithville, and then swap over and pull out the White Western Star, which would be far more useful to us than the twin steer at this point. There's our scout fuel trailer that our scout can't pull, but by gosh, we can drag it. So we'll start by filling her up. One nice thing about the Jeep, it does have that central rear winch point, which makes the act of dragging a trailer much less painful, because at least it stays behind you like it's supposed to. Just pull that up there. The only real downside being if I have to winch myself out of where I've gotten stuck, I'll have to reconnect to the trailer every time, which is a mite tedious, but there are worse things. Come to think of it, I don't think the twin steer can drag a trailer either. Not that you would want to. I think it's a monster of a truck. Come on, baby. You can do it. Oh, this is soup. It's all soup. It does seem to want me to do a fair bit of back and forth to stay as out of the soup as I can. At least in this little tiny Jeep. This is going to be the problem for the twin steer getting it out of here, is the other road wasn't in much better shape, and it only has a differential lock. There is an all-wheel drive module. It's up in the Kola Peninsula, Russia map. It is paid DLC to get, and quite difficult to get to. Oh. I done diddly goofed. It's not gonna work. Watch out. Well, on the bright side, I can nearly see the destination. Oh, oops, if you're moving in the right direction. Come on, baby. You can do it. Of course, the last 100 yards are going to be the slog. It's always the way it is, too. Oh, see that motion right there when it starts just sinking into the mud? That's heartbreaking. I wonder if this over here is semi-solid ground. Let's find out. Oh, that's way better. Okay, that'll work. Well, it seemed way better. Now it seems way less better. Now we're going to have a terrible time getting back to that damn trailer. Maybe if I stay right on the edge here. Yep, that was the play. Put all of our available muscle behind the pole here. I really gotta say, I'm genuinely surprised by this thing. I was fully prepared to hate this Jeep. I'm not a big Jeep fan in real life. I used to be, but then they did stupid stuff like the Gladiator, and I thought that was a good idea. Give me like an old 90s Cherokee with standard shift transmission in it. Get rid of all these goofy push buttons. Like, they used to be a proper off-road vehicle. And now they're more of a status symbol, and that breaks my heart a little bit. Oh, come on, we're nearly there. Nearly there. And this thing is kind of beat up. I was thinking it was all ready to drive, but I'm thinking that perhaps it's all ready to die instead. There we go. Alright, well, let's start. Well, let's jump in and see what the fuel tank looks like first, because that can be part of the problem. Oh, you can't. Do I not own it? I don't own it. Well, if I have to do this, how do I get this out of here? Is there another truck I have to find in that radius? I'm confused. Oh, I just have to restore it. Well, that means finding a service trailer or dragging one down here. Here, I thought I was going to get off easy with the fuel. There's something stuck in the mud. Some vehicle. Couldn't tell you what. Well, I think we're going to have to call it there for the day. We're certainly going to continue this saga. Oh, there's a Scout 800 down there. A fuel trailer. Just having a peek. That's probably a fuel trailer. I'm sure there's a service trailer down here somewhere. But that's going to have to be a problem for next time, to be honest. And we've just about hit 8 a.m., so that was pretty good timing, actually. So when we come back, we will probably continue trying to rescue the twin steer. Maybe. I don't know. We may have to let it sit there honestly, because this isn't going to tow a service trailer any appreciable distance. And there aren't any small ones, and the best I can do is put a tire on the thing, the Jeep. So we may have to go next door and get the P16 and come back and drag a service trailer to it that way. One way or another, we're leaving out of here with all of our ducks in a row. But don't forget, like the video, comment down below if you did in the last video whether you think I should go to other regions to get trucks too, or try to 100% a particular region at a time. And if you like what you see, throw me a subscription, let me know, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out.